Hey everybody, happy Sunday. I hope that wherever you are and whatever you are doing, you are having an amazing weekend. You will probably hear an angry rooster in the background at any moment because Charlie the rooster is upset that I had to chase some of his daughters around our garden and put back in the chicken coop because they had escaped. And when Charlie is upset, he crows a lot. So I apologise for the random crowing that is going to happen throughout this video, but that's not what I want to talk to you about today. I want to talk to you about energy costs. Now, I don't think it's a secret that energy costs around the world have gone up in recent years. The cost of buying electricity has gone up. The cost of buying petroleum-based fuels has gone up, although here in the United States it's in something of a lull right now. It's a lot cheaper to buy gasoline, for example, than it was this time last year. But there is one fairly constant fact, I think, that is true regardless of where you are in the world. That is, for the most part, energy companies, energy providers, electricity companies, wherever you buy your electricity from, tends to charge you more if you opt to pick a green source of renewable energy for the electricity you use at home. Now, of course, it's impossible to put a little tag on an electron and go, this electron was given energy from a renewable source of power. That's not how it works, sadly. But what you can do is you can pay your energy provider, normally, for an equivalent amount of electricity to that which you consume at home to be generated or purchased by the grid on your behalf from a renewable energy source. That could be a massive wind farm somewhere, or could be a local community solar project. Those interactions, those transactions that occur, ostensibly are designed to help you as a consumer support the generation of renewable electricity and lower the carbon footprint of the grid, specifically the electricity that you consume from your local grid. But here's the thing, it's now far, far cheaper to generate electricity using renewable sources of power than it is to, for example, pay for a coal-fired power station to continue to be powered and funded to produce electricity that way. I was doing a video earlier this week. We were talking about Wyoming and its resolution, not a bill, a resolution to say how very cross they were with electric vehicles and how they would very much like to ban the sale of electric vehicles in the state from 2035 onwards. And I pointed out in that video that it's a resolution, not a bill. So it was just basically official finger wagging. But when I was digging through the numbers for that video, I discovered that the amount of coal that Wyoming produces is astonishing, and the overwhelming majority of the electricity that is generated in Wyoming comes from coal. Even though, as many of you pointed out in the comments, Wyoming has a lot of wind, and so we could be generating a lot of power from wind farms in that region, and I hope that the number of wind farms in that area rises as the cost of producing renewable energy using wind and solar continues to drop. We as consumers, though, even though solar panels are the cheapest they've ever been, even though wind power is the cheapest it's ever been, are in general still paying a premium for electricity generated using green methods. And that feels particularly wrong. Just noticed I've got something on my glasses, please excuse me. So, isn't it time that we as consumers ask energy companies where that extra money is going from? If it costs them less to generate power per kilowatt hour using solar or wind or wave or any other renewable energy source, and they are charging us more for the privilege, who gets that extra money? It's not us. We don't benefit from it. We're paying more for green energy most of the time. And there are some examples and there are some exceptions around the world where energy companies are going, no, you're buying renewable energy from us. We're actually going to charge you less for that because you're doing a good thing and it costs us less, so we're passing on the savings to you. But for the most part, energy companies are continuing to invest in renewable energy. They're continuing to benefit from subsidies from various world governments designed to encourage those energy providers and utility companies to go to green power, and yet the cost to the consumer continues to rise. And that causes some issues. It first causes some kind of backlash against green energy among regular everyday consumers, because if they look at their electricity bill and their electricity bill goes up because of renewable energy, they are going to not want that to happen, because at the end of the day, a lot of people can't afford the extra 10, 20, 30 cents or pence per kilowatt hour that they're being asked to pay on top of their flat rate to pay for renewable energy methods. And in some states now, there's actually a tax or a fee, a surcharge that's just blanket applied to all bills that also goes towards paying for renewable sources of energy. Now, I haven't done a huge amount of digging into the subject, and I need to do that, and maybe that is something for a mainstream video. But isn't it time that we start asking energy companies why they're charging us so much for renewable power when it costs them less than coal or oil in a lot of cases? Granted, nuclear power stations are still very cost effective in many places, especially ones that have been operational for a while. But it's still generally accepted that the cost of electricity generation should be going down, not up, as we bring more renewables online. Granted, there's the initial investment, right? You do have to fund a wind farm. You do have to fund a massive photovoltaic installation in the field somewhere. But there are also benefits to be made. So farmers, for example, a lot of farmers in a lot of countries around the world are opting to have photovoltaic solar panels installed in their fields, especially if they have grazing animals, because the panels don't affect the ability of the animals to graze. It allows them a dual income stream, so they're able to charge a ground rent on the solar panels while still using the field for grazing or other uses. Again, things should be cheaper. They shouldn't be more expensive. I would love to know if you live in a part of the world where renewable energy is now more affordable for you to buy from a utility company, but I have yet to find an example of a utility company anywhere that charges less for green energy. At least while there are specific green energy providers that only provide 100% renewable energy, I'm talking about the big mainstream energy companies who are charging more for the privilege. And that just feels completely unfair. And isn't it time we get some citizen action on that? Because at the end of the day, we need to make our grid more resilient. And as we make our electrical grid more resilient, that means we need to decentralize where we're generating electricity. That means more people need to have solar panels on their roof, like I have at my house here. And generating their own power allows the grid to become more resilient. It allows communities to become more resilient. And it allows us to prepare for major bad weather events, such as heavy rain, heavy snowfall, heavy wind, but it also allows us to be more resilient in the effect of other natural disasters such as fires and earthquakes. Because if you're able to generate your own electricity, store it locally, and then move that energy to where it's needed, it's a more resilient outlook than having massive high voltage cables tracing across the countryside that may or may not be very reliable. And it's worth remembering that most of the infrastructure, like these cables behind me, they're over 100 years old. The electrification of this region is about 100 years ago. And so that infrastructure is going to need an upgrade soon. Shouldn't that upgrade include more off-grid, more backup, more energy storage solutions, and an acknowledgement that making greener energy is also more cost effective? Let me know your thoughts below. I would love to know them. That is it for today's video. If you liked it, you know what to do. It's hopefully fairly obvious now, but feel free to tip us with a super thanks, and the comments are open for your thoughts below, as is our Discord chat room. If you do want more, subscribe, hit the bell and follow the links to support us regularly through Patreon, or you can support us with a YouTube membership. YouTube ad revenue has fallen off a cliff this year, and with YouTube now effectively forcing content creators to go back through the negotiation of ad revenue. We're now getting less than we've ever got before, and we need to make up a gap of about $3,000 a month in order for us to just continue to make content that you all enjoy. You'll also find links below to Ko-fi, Bitcoin and our swag store if you'd like to support us in a different way. And also do check us out on Mastodon. We have our own server. We would love to see you sharing and engaging with us, and the entire team has an account there as often as you can. Scrolling on my right is our list of amazing charged up supporters, and shout outs go out to our self-driving tier supporters. They are Mike Weeder, Linda Irish, Sean Tucker, Patrick Boyarski, Paul Nelson, Chris Maxwell, Brian Newton, Michael Goad, Bennett Elder, Andrew Martin, Pedro Moura Pinheiro, Brophy Wolf, Chris and Michael Johnson, Tesla in the Gong, Dan Blair, Peter Dillinger, Gordon C, Stephen O'Donoghue, Carl Hodgson, Anthony Coates, Raging Fellows, Denny Hyde, Chris Centaur and Jim Burness. Finally, super mega out of this world thanks to our top tier supporters. They are Andrew Glenn, Anonymous Freak, JP Fagerbeck, Joe Bresney, John Lyons, Rory Litwin, Kevin Burrowbridge, Dave Kitchen, Aaron Hahn, Laura Reynolds, Marcel Ward, Matthew Drobnak, Paul Conway, Reggie Watts, Will Graylin and Ian. I will be back soon with more great content, as will the lovely Kate Warren Elliott and the rest of the team. But until then, I hope that the rest of your day goes amazingly well. And as always, keep evolving.